What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team Career Mode. It's going to be a slightly longer video this time, and that is in small part due to the fact that it is the Austrian Grand Prix, which of course, as I'm sure you know by now, is a sprint weekend. And also down to the fact that things actually happen in this race. So yeah, look forward to that. There's a lot of action across both the sprint and the race, which I didn't want to miss out on any of it, so I thought, you know, despite the fact we've mostly been doing sort of 20 to 25 minute videos recently, I thought I'd opt for a slightly longer one, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, stay tuned to find out what happens in the ensuing two quote-unquote races that we've got. I know you're not supposed to call the sprint a race, but it basically is a race. Last time out, we were at the British Grand Prix, and after qualifying on pole, I suffered the unfortunate fate of being tagged by Leclerc into Maggots and Beckett's on lap 4. Fell down to P9, was working my way back up the order, and then about 10 laps before the end, my car gave up on me for the second time at the British Grand Prix, and for the second time this season as well. So yeah, I had to wait a little bit longer for that coveted first win at the British Grand Prix, but maybe next season, who knows. Here we are now at the race weekend proper, and yeah, I think there's pretty much no chance that we can beat Leclerc in this rivalry. He's like 10 points ahead or something like that, so even if we get a win here, I still don't think it'll be enough. I think it's due to rain at certain points of the weekend. I think maybe the race it's raining, but the sprint is dry, and then some of qualifying is going to be raining as well. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of an up and down weekend as far as the forecast is concerned, but hopefully we can adapt well to that. In practice, we weren't particularly fast, but we also didn't do any soft running, so it's kind of hard to tell. I did feel kind of fast. You know, I was passing the practice programs by quite a comfortable margin, but as we know, that's not always necessarily reflective of what my pace is going to be like in qualifying in the race. But I mean, the good news is last year I won after qualifying 16th because I worked my way up the order from 16th to 8th in the sprint, and then from 8th to 1st in the race itself. So I'm hoping to at least have a Q3 appearance this time around, maybe even sort of grab maybe a top 3, something like that, and then maybe it'll be slightly easier to get the victory here. I do typically have quite a lot of pace at the Austrian Grand Prix, so yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see whether that rings true on this occasion. I'm hoping for a good performance from Théo Pourchaire as well. You know, he's been doing pretty decently in this season, but at the same time, I feel like if he was a regular contender for victories and podiums, we would probably be leading this championship right now. Instead, we're currently second, I think, or maybe I think we're third at the moment. I think Red Bull overtook us because they had quite a strong British Grand Prix. So if we can get a good result here, we might be able to jump Red Bull straight back. But yeah, I can't help but feel like we could be contending with Ferrari at the sharp end of the constructors' standings if Porsche was putting in a few more better performances. 104.1 opens the scoring in Q1 for me, and it's good enough for P3 at the moment, but I do get the feeling that we're going to have to improve on it somewhat if we want to find ourselves in Q2. We actually go out on the same set of tyres once again, and we improved by 3.5 tenths. It's good enough for a 103.7, and yeah, that's the run that I'm going to take as my final time in Q1, and at the end of it all, it is good enough for P14 only, so I will need to probably do a little bit better than that in Q2 if I want to find myself in Q3. Pourchaire, meanwhile, P8. It's not the best result he's ever had, but you know, it could be a lot worse. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in Q2. I'm very desperate to get through to Q3. Any Q2 elimination at this point is not what you'd want. No real shock exits or anything like that in Q1, but I'm sure in Q2, you know, we'll probably see maybe a few Mercedes or Alpines or something like that out in Q2. It actually was raining at the start of the session, so you know, anyone who didn't go out early might have been slightly screwed, because yeah, the rain is beginning to come down. I did a 105.1, which as we know is slower, and in the end it was the fastest time. And yeah, it meant that Théo Pourchaire, who was quite late to do a run, ended up 12th. Russell is out, Verstappen is out, Sainz is out. It's a very sort of a bit of a mix-up there, you know. We even got an Alfa Romeo getting through to Q3, which is, I think, the first time they've done that this season. So this could be a good opportunity for, I think it was Schwartzman, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it could be a good opportunity for him to potentially get Alfa Romeo's first points of the season, unless they scored points somewhere and I wasn't aware of it. Either way, they haven't really been performing at the level that their car has the potential to be. Our first lap in Q3 is a 1:13.0, and yeah, I mean, I thought it could have been pretty good, but as you can see, it actually caused some damage to the underbody of our car, and that meant that we couldn't go out for another run. We didn't have enough time, so we had to just kind of sit in the garage and watch as everyone else continued to beat us. And yeah, in the end it was only good enough for a P10 finish, which isn't fantastic, but I'm sure we can still fight from here. If we could maybe make up a few positions on the start, get into sort of the top 5 or 6 maybe by the end of the sprint, then we could still be looking at challenging for a podium. Gasly's done pretty well to get P3 there, but I hopefully will take that off him by the end of the weekend. I'm quite keen to at least get on the podium. As you see here, Leclerc, like I said, 10 points ahead of me in the rivalry. There's no way to win it because all that's left now is the sprint and the race, and even if I outperform him in both of those, I'm still only going to make up a maximum of 6 points on him if he has a DNF in both, which I don't think is going to happen. So yeah, we're going to be bumping the difficulty down by 1 point after this, but who knows, maybe that will be what we need to get back in this championship. I don't know, the AI has been giving me a real run for my money on this difficulty, which is a bit unexpected really, given in season 1 I was quite competitive on the on sort of about 90 difficulty, and even on season 2 as well. I wasn't really having too many struggles. I was qualifying a backmarker car in the sharp end of the grid, so yeah, a bit of a shock to see, but anyway, now it's time to get into the race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint, not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top?
I would like to issue a correction on my prior statement. It's not time to get into the race, it's time to get into the sprint. Don't let F1 media know that I called this a race. It's not a race, and apparently it never will be. So yeah, it's time to get into the sprint.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Perez, Guan Yu Zhou and Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Schwartzman and Robinson, Sainz, Théo Pourchaire, George Russell and Verstappen, Lundgaard, Ocon, Oscar Piastri and Alex Albon, Magnussen, Latifi, Stroll and Mick Schumacher. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Probably it's going to be Leclerc, but yeah, I mean, maybe someone will offer up a surprise, but Leclerc's just super strong at the moment. Based on my tyre wear, I was wondering whether I'd be able to go softs to the end, but I saw afterwards that the mandatory tyre is either medium or hard, so I don't have the option to go on a set of softs to the end, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, that's just the way it is, I guess, and it means that yeah, we'll have to settle for the mediums for now, and try and see if we can compete on those. I was surprised they wouldn't let you go on a set of softs. I thought that would have been, you know, it's a sprint. I didn't think it was a mandatory tyre type thing, but yeah, they didn't like the idea of me doing that. They also said it would be slightly slower in the end, which I was kind of surprised by because, you know, my tyre wear in the practice programs was actually not too bad. I was like 0.7 times what the expected tyre wear was. So yeah, we couldn't do that, unfortunately. Now it's time for the lights to come on, and the lights go out, and it's a pretty good start as per usual. You come to expect that kind of thing from me by now, I'm sure, and we're already challenging Schwartzman down into turn 1, but we have to take the inside of the corner. He sweeps around the outside and regains the position. Now we're under pressure from Carlos Sainz in P11, but burning the battery as we come on the run up to turn 3, because apparently this, as we're going through now, is turn 2, and yeah, we're able to hopefully keep him behind. Someone's had a bit of a crash there. I think it's Lando Norris. Is he out? In any case, yeah, we do manage to gain a few positions off the back of that, ahead of Schwartzman, ahead of Tsunoda, and obviously ahead of Norris as well, who is out of the race. And it has triggered a safety car, which means that yeah, we will be able to hold on to this position for the time being, and maybe even jump a few of the cars ahead of us after the safety car restart, like Alonso and maybe Ricciardo as well. Who knows? But yeah, a pretty chaotic beginning to the race. As we're behind the safety car and waiting for the race to restart, you can see I'm behind Alonso, and yeah, his Alpine just blows up directly in my face, which means I gain a position off the back of that as well. So yeah, unfortunate for him. It means he'll be starting at the back of the grid for tomorrow's race, but I'm not going to complain. It means we can gain a position here, and we can try and jump Ricciardo off the safety car restart and try and get up into P5 as it will be. And already this sprint is going pretty well for us. We've made up 4 positions from our initial starting position, even if a couple of those were due to DNFs. You know, you got to take what you can get in this business, and I have certainly taken it and grabbed it with both hands right now. Safety car restart incoming, and we're going to be trying to jump Ricciardo as soon as possible. I'm going to maybe try and have a look up his inside here to try and hold him up a little bit. You can see I'm doing exactly that, trying not to make contact with him, trying not to overtake him before the safety car line, and as a result, you know, I do hold him up. It means that he's significantly further behind Zhou Guanyu, but nonetheless, we haven't managed to get ahead of him just yet. We're going to try and go for a sweeping run around the outside of turn 1, and he had a bit of a wobble there, which I think is going to give us a bit of pace over him. You can see we're closing down and closing down. I'm going to try and have a look up the inside here. Dive bomb up the inside, brake late. He's the last of the late breakers, but I'm later. What does that make me? And yeah, we've overtaken him, and actually Tsunoda's managed to get past him as well. So we've moved up into P5, Tsunoda up into P6, and now we're going to try and hunt down Zhou Guanyu and Pierre Gasly and see if we can get that coveted podium that we are aiming for. I was kind of hoping that we would get this by the end of the weekend. As you can see, Latifi there smashing into the side pod of one of the Hasses, and I think he's going to be retiring from the race as a result of that. It was a big hit. I'm not sure why the Haas was coming into the pit. Maybe they had their own damage or something. But yeah, another victim of the Austria pit entry, Nicholas Latifi there, as we move on to lap 7 now, and we're actually coming under a bit of pressure here from Yuki Tsunoda, who's going to try and go around the outside at what I believe is turn 4, but we managed to hold him off for now as we come on the run down to turn 6 and 7. Now we're having a look. This is Esteban Ocon on lap 8. He goes into the side of, I think that's Max Verstappen, and yeah, he is now also out of the Grand Prix as well, in a very similar fashion to how Latifi retired from the race just a few laps ago. Yeah, this is a real issue that is prevalent in this game as we come onto lap 8 now, and you can see that Zhou Guanyu and Pierre Gasly have held each other up a little bit, and I've moved within DRS range of them, which is going to be great to drop Tsunoda. And Zhou actually goes out a bit wide there trying to defend from Gasly. They kind of hold each other up a bit, and I am very keen to take the position off of both of them, and we move up into P3. We are very ahead of schedule right now, as you can see. I was hoping to be in this position by the end of the weekend. And we're already here by lap 9 on the sprint. I don't think I'm catching Leclerc and Perez today, but I mean, you never know. We'll see what happens in the race itself. I think there's a very good chance of me at least getting P2 and minimising the damage that Leclerc is causing. But I need to do more than minimise the damage. You know, he's, what, 37 points ahead in this championship at the moment. I need to win these races. I need to outperform him at every twist and turn if I want to recoup this position in the championship. You know, there's only a finite number of races left. This is the last race before the halfway point of the season, which means next race we will be attempting to renew Théo Pourchaire's contract. But yeah, Pierre Gasly going up the inside here at turn 1. We're going to hold off around the outside, and we actually hold him up a little bit in the process, which is going to allow us to break away from him over the rest of the course of the lap. There's kind of no doubt in my mind that he's faster, but just because you're faster doesn't mean you're necessarily the better driver, you know what I mean? him and Zhou Guanyu squabbling has massively helped me. I go off the track here a little bit actually because I outbrake myself, and now we're having a look at I think this is Robert Schwartzman, who was having a pretty good race up until this point. Not so much anymore, as his Alfa Romeo just blows up there. I find it weird that in some parts of the replay they have the music, but only in some and not in others. In any case, that is the end of the race for Schwartzman. And now we move on to lap 11, and yeah, Gasly is closing us down once again. He's kind of pulled away from Zhou Guanyu a little bit here. He's going to try and go up the inside as we come up to turn 3. I outbrake myself once again and go off the track, and that is going to allow me to stay ahead. But I mean, I don't know if that's a necessarily particularly fair move, given that you know, you could deem it leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Fortunately, he just about gets ahead of me. His front wing was definitely ahead of my front wing there, which means that yeah, we are able to keep him behind without the guilt of thinking that we gained any kind of advantage illegally. Under yellow flags, we actually did a bit of dueling there, which I'm not sure if that was technically allowed, but they seem to let us get away with it, so I don't know what's up with that. He's going to try and attack us in the same place as he did last lap, and we're going to try and defend it in a similar way to how we did. He squeezes us to the inside of the track, but it turns out there is room for 2 people to go around that corner without too much hassle, but maybe the Mercedes and Red Bull are just wider than the Jaguar and the AlphaTauri. In any case, we do hold on to this P3, which means we're going to cross the line to grab, I believe it's 6 points in this sprint, and yeah, we're only dropping 2 points to Leclerc as a result, which is going to be all we really all we want, and the best that we could probably have got out of a sprint like this. So yeah, pretty good result all in all, and yeah, I just hope that we are able to fight back even further in the race itself, and see if we can get ahead of Leclerc when the opportunity presents itself.
So let's review the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's move on to the constructors. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, goodbye.
Well, I'm going to need some good results coming thick and fast, because now Leclerc is actually further ahead of me in the championship than I am further ahead of Max Verstappen in the championship. So I'm closer to being P3 than I am to being P1 in this championship at the moment. And that simply will not do. Even if we don't win the Constructors here, I think we've got a pretty good chance of getting P3. But I want to walk away with at least 1 trophy this season, and it's looking ever more like it's going to be the drivers. So yeah, we're going to have to do everything we can to try and take that home for ourselves. And yeah, now it is for real actually time to get into the race.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve. It was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 to the right and 3 to the left, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Robinson, Gasly, Guan Yu Zhou and Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Sainz, Russell and Kevin Magnussen, Albon, Mick Schumacher, Lance Stroll and Verstappen, Lundgaard, Oscar Piastri, Esteban Ocon and Théo Pourchaire. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi, Norris, Fernando Alonso, they've taken a grid penalty, and Robert Schwartzman. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Looks like he's got nothing to say on this occasion. So yeah, I will fill in the blanks, and yeah, we're going to try and get away nicely. It is intermediate conditions, which makes our job a little bit harder as far as overtaking is concerned. Hopefully we don't lose out to Gasly on the start of this race. I think that would pretty much kill any chance we have of taking the victory here. But yeah, there's lots to look forward to in this race. There's still quite a lot of action. We do a very good job of parking, and hopefully, yeah, we can get a good start to try and contend with Perez off the start. I don't think I'm going to be grabbing the lead off the start, because my starts are never typically particularly good. But you know, hopefully we can do something as the lights come on and the lights go out. That was an eternity we were waiting on the grid there. Perez gets away well, and he's already actually challenging Leclerc for the lead of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, I'm being challenged by Gasly on the inside. Perez and Leclerc going wheel to wheel. I'm going to try and go up the inside of Perez there, but to no avail. And yeah, I maintain P3. No thanks to Gasly, who is very putting a lot of pressure on me right now, and also his teammate Tsunoda going up my inside there. I have to thread the needle to make sure I don't make contact with any of them. I think I hit someone at some point there, but yeah, we managed to escape unscathed. We're once again under pressure from Gasly as we come on the run down to, I believe this is turn 4, and yeah, already Perez and Leclerc are breaking away significantly because of the pressure that Gasly has been mounting on me on this first lap. But I need to try and catch them quickly if I want any chance of winning this Grand Prix. You see that Leclerc is already 2 seconds up the road. He's already broken out of quote-unquote DRS range. Obviously there's not going to be any DRS while it's raining, but he's broken out of DRS range to Perez, and Perez has already broken out of DRS range to me. So yeah, this is going to be a tricky one to recover if we don't do something about it drastically. You can see lap 6. Moving into lap 7, Leclerc is very, very fast and is 4 seconds up the road from me already. Meanwhile, I've managed to hold on to the back of Perez while dropping Gasly at least a little bit. And yeah, there's not really a way through at the moment, you know what I mean? He's fast where he needs to be, especially on this particular straight that I just went through there. I'm faster pretty much everywhere else across the track, but you know, being fast everywhere else doesn't really matter if he's fast in one particular place. So yeah, I'm trying to catch him as swiftly as I can, but it's easier said than done. And lap 13 now, I think the track has dried up a little bit, and we're going to try and take off these intermediates and go onto a set of mediums, which I think are going to last us the duration of the Grand Prix, 24 laps if you can believe it. And yeah, try and see if we can compete this way. I think Perez might have had a slightly slow stop there by the looks of things, so maybe we might be able to get ahead of him. It's going to be close. We actually ghost, but we are in front of him. Realistically, we should have been held in the pits there, but yeah, apparently we were able to get away with that one. So we come out ahead of Sergio Perez, and now we're going to see if we can break away from him and try and set after Leclerc to grab after him. I think that was thunder, maybe? I'm not sure. It seemed like there was like a bumping noise, unless it was Leclerc on the back of my car, or Perez on the back of my car, which I don't think it was. That's all I can think of. Looking at Fernando Alonso here, and you can see that his car has broken down again. This has been a torrid weekend for Alpine. 2 DNFs in the sprint, and now a DNF in the race as well. Not what they wanted to see at all, I'm sure. But, you know, get out of the way nice and early, and that way it probably won't happen at your home Grand Prix, which is coming up next. Lap 20, we are going to try and lap Mick Schumacher here and see if we can get away with him. I think just coming up on the run there, maybe my car's too low to the ground or something, because it sounds like my floor might be scraping along the ground as I'm doing that. Meanwhile, you can see I've dropped Perez and Gasly quite nicely. I haven't really made up any time on Leclerc just yet, but I'm also not really falling off the back of him very much. Schumacher feels like he's entitled to get this place back. I'm not really sure what he thinks he's going to do with that, apart from hold me up a little bit, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, we lap him, we get past him, and yeah, we don't have to worry about him anymore, hopefully. This is George Russell trying to get past my teammate Théo Pourchaire, who has no front wing, and now George Russell has no front wing as well, because this is a very well-designed part of the track. Yeah, I think maybe Codemasters need to try and fix the way that the AI work at the pit exit, or at the pit entry of Austria, because I see so many collisions happening there. Teo Porcher obviously had a broken front wing, so he's coming to the pits and probably won't be a factor in this race. Russell is out, and there has been another safety car called, which we are gonna try and see if we can actually pounce on this to maybe get ahead of Leclerc on the safety car restart. This has played into our hands beautifully right now, and yeah, we'll have to see if this is going to be possible, whether we can grab the win out of the jaws of P2, and yeah, see if we can start making up some ground on Leclerc in this championship, perhaps. But yeah, actually, Russell not the only one to DNF. Lundgaard has also had a DNF, so we'll see in a second what exactly is up with that. But yeah, bit weird. We keep seeing DNFs under safety cars. Latifi now coming out of the pits. We will just be able to lap him, and that's good. Here's what happened with Lundgaard. He pitted, and now he, as he was coming out of the pits, you could see he was trying to overtake the safety car and just smashes straight into the back of it. This is the pinnacle of motorsport, by the way. What on earth was he thinking? Anyway, lap 25, and yeah, we're now going to see the safety car coming in. Back markers aren't allowed to overtake, which means I've got a Latifi-shaped object and a Schumacher-shaped object between myself and Sergio Perez, so I can focus solely on getting ahead of Charles Leclerc here, if that's what I want to do. And I think that's what I will do, you know. He sets off quite nicely there. We're going to be burning battery here because the AI typically doesn't burn battery until they actually get to the line on this kind of thing, which is going to give me a massive run on him. And we're going to try and dive up the outside, go around the outside, sweep around the outside, and we've taken the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix with 10 laps to go. We will be under pressure from Leclerc, no doubt, but actually he's already fallen away significantly, and he's under a bit of pressure from Sergio Perez here, which is fantastic news for us, because it means that we can hopefully try and break away from him a little bit. But as you're about to find out, the breakaway did not last long. You see Perez has already fallen off by 4 seconds and is now dueling with Pierre Gasly for P3. Meanwhile, Leclerc is closing us down at a rate of knots, and I'm sure will be attempting to overtake us sooner rather than later. I got quite lucky on this occasion because right around the time that he was going to overtake us, a VSC is deployed. I can only assume that's for another pit entry incident or something like that, but whoever hit one another, they did me a favour in this occasion because it meant that I could not have to worry about Leclerc for the next lap or so. We come on to lap 30 now, and you see that the VSC is going to end, and actually Leclerc is a lot closer to me than he was before. I'm trying to time this perfectly so I can have the lowest delta possible as the restart ticks over, and I do a pretty good job actually. 500th of a second is not bad. I think if I'd have gone any faster than that, I would be looking at a drive-through penalty right now. But yeah, we restart, and we're going to try and hold off Leclerc now for the next 6 laps of the race if we can hopefully manage that. You see he's going to go around the outside here at turn 4 and thinks better of it. There's not quite enough space for him to be able to do that on this occasion. He needed really to be attacking me earlier, but he's going to try and have a look around the outside for a split second there, and you see he's just absolutely relentless. This reminds me of Britain, where he was just hassling me around every single corner, trying to find a way through, you know, poking wheels up the inside here and there, having a look around the outside here and there. And now as we come to the final couple of turns, he's even going to try to go around the outside there. We end up going off the track as a result, and then he looks for a way up the inside as well. He literally won't leave me alone for one corner. It's absurd how much this race means to both me and him. You can clearly see it in the way that we're driving. I'm a bit nervous, making a few mistakes. He's a bit nervous, knowing that he has a chance to really start putting this championship to bed if he can win these few races that are coming up. And yeah, I am just desperate to make sure that he cannot do that by any stretch of the imagination. He tries to go around the outside there at turn 1. We managed to hold him off, and he falls away a little bit as a result. We squeeze him to the outside, and that means he's got 2 options, which is either go off the track or brake, and he chooses the sensible one on this occasion. But yeah, with only 3 laps to go, he's going to be having to find a way through sooner rather than later. You can see now we move on to lap 34. And once again, he is probably going to be trying to look for a way through, perhaps here into turn 3. Is he going to go up the inside here and have a bit of a dive bomb? He is, by the looks of things. I'm going to have to go around the outside in order to hold him off here, but as we deploy the battery, you see I got a slightly better exit than him. Not that that's going to stop the AI from having significantly better pace than me on the run down to turn 4, but I think on this occasion we've just about managed to get away with it. So yeah, we've held them up for now, and now we move on to lap 35, and I think in that corner that he didn't attack us last lap, he is going to attack us this time, and we're going to have to do everything we can to try and keep him behind if that's possible. We manage it on this occasion, but yeah, it's still not quite enough. You can see he's still hassling us as we come through some of the more non-traditional overtaking spots on the track, and yeah, we have only really one more lap now that he can try and get past us on. So yeah, we've done a good job of defending from him for now. You can see that all this time we've been breaking away from Perez and Gasly and what is now Ricciardo. It was Zhou Guanyu earlier, but it seems he's lost out to Ricciardo. And yeah, we find ourselves on the final lap of the race. Leclerc's going to try and go around the outside at turn 1 here. We take a bit of floor damage, but we do manage to hold on to the position for now. It's going to be even harder to defend with that damage, because that's going to cost us aero performance around every single corner, of which, granted, there aren't that many at this track compared to other tracks. But, you know, we're still, out of this corner, we're going to be especially slow. We're going to have to burn basically all the battery we've got to even have a chance of keeping him behind. And you see he's closing me up quite quickly. He's going to try and go around the outside here, maybe. Oh, not quite. He doesn't quite have the opportunity. We were just a tiny bit too far ahead of him in order for that to happen. And now if he wants to get ahead, he's going to have to do it in a non-conventional overtaking spot, or on the line with traction out of the final corner. You can see as I come through what is traditionally one of my fastest spots on the circuit, I'm not gaining anywhere near as much on him as I usually do. And there's definitely the opportunity for him to still get past here. I think we're going to get away with this though, and finally, after what feels like an eternity since Miami, we are going to cross the line and take our 4th victory of the season.
Absolutely awesome. Just amazing, mate. Well done.
That was a hard-fought race. That was a really hard-fought race, and I'm glad that we were able to win it and try and fight back in this championship. Just a little bit.
Fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. What do you think it was today, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
It's a fantastic day for me. I don't know if Charles Leclerc will be saying the same thing. You can see on his face he's a bit miffed about that one. He knows that he had the win in his hands until that safety car, which I guess you could argue was triggered by my teammate. So once again in Austria, I've had a teammate help me coast my way to victory. Obviously not quite in the same way as before. But yeah, we still got pretty lucky with that one. But you know, a little luck never hurt anyone.
That lead has taken a bit of a knock today. Let's have a quick look at how the driver standings have changed. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from the owner-drivers team this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula 1 action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Porsche not too far off of the few cars in front of him. Meanwhile, we've closed the gap to 30 points. So yeah, maybe one DNF for Leclerc, and you know, some strong results for us, and we could be right back in this, you know. And like I said, this is typically where I'm pretty strong in the season. I know obviously Britain didn't go according to plan, but Austria has gone pretty much according to plan. Next up is the French Grand Prix, which is another track I'm pretty decent at, especially if we've got the engine power that we were lacking this time last year. And then what else is coming up? We've got the Hungarian Grand Prix after that. Not a track I typically do too well at, but you never know. And then some other strong tracks. Belgium, which is one that I've done pretty well at across the seasons. We've got Zandvoort, which is always a bit hit or miss for me. In Season 2, obviously, it was a big hit. Season 3, it was a big miss. And then Monza, I think, actually will go a bit better for us now we've got the engine power, and by that point we will have our final supplier engine upgrade on the car as well. So the car will be as fast as it can possibly be while it's got a Mercedes engine in the back of it, and I mean that could mean big things for us as we go into the second half of the season. But yeah, meanwhile, Porsche is currently P11 in the championship, but there's only 15 points separating him and I think it's Gasly in P7. So once we get some of those upgrades, I will be very keen to see if Porsche can jump Gasly as P7 in the championship. And if he can get to that position, then I'll be pretty happy with his performance, even if we don't win the constructors on this occasion. As long as I'm winning the drivers, I will be happy with Porsche's performance, and you know, if we can get at least P2 or P3. If we bottle that, obviously I think you'd have to say it was probably Porsche's fault that we didn't do that. You know, it'd be like the season that Kimi Raikkonen won the World Championship, and Felipe Massa was a long way off him. I think he finished with over 100. I think him, Alonso, and Hamilton finished with over 100 points, and Massa had like 30 or 40. So yeah, it was a very disappointing season for him, all things considered. Leclerc does win the rivalry as expected with the fastest lap and everything. He still pulls further away from me, but you know, that's absolutely fine. We weren't expecting to win that rivalry really. After the first few sort of races, we had a bit of bad luck and things didn't really go our way. So yeah, it was a difficult point in the season that we chose to take him on as a rival, and it didn't pay off in the end. But now we're going to be getting into some more races that I'm a big fan of. We've got the French Grand Prix coming up next, and we're going to see if we can get back-to-back wins for only the second time in our career. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.